Good morning. Good morning. Thank you all for coming. I'd like to welcome friends, relatives, police officers, and most importantly, the family members of the police officers here today. It's great seeing you all here for this great event that we're going to have. It's a multiple event today. We're going to be swearing in a new police officer, and we're going to be recognizing some citizens for their outstanding work and dedication to the police department. We're also going to be recognizing some police officers for some outstanding police work, even though they do outstanding police work every single day to make this community safe. And so, again, thank you all for coming. Before we get started, I'd just like to recognize some dignitaries that are here, and then we can move forward with our program. First of all, Julian Suso, Town Manager, thank you for coming. Sam Patterson, Board of Selectmen, thank you for coming. Michael Palmer, of course we couldn't do it without Michael because he's the one doing the swearing in here, so thank you, Michael. Senator Vinnie DiMacedo couldn't make it today. His father passed, and he's at the wake, today, so he couldn't make it. As Dave Vieira is in session, however, they did send, we have citations which we'll be giving all the officers and civilians here from their offices. So again, thank you for that. We also have present Jennifer Petit, financial person of the town. Chief Michael Small from the fire department, thank you. And of course we have our, and I saw the sheriff's photographers here somewhere, with the camera. Thank you. Our police chaplain, Reverend Rebecca Mencelli, thank you. And Michael Kasparian, thank you for coming. Thank you all for being here. If I could have Reverend Mencelli please come up for the opening prayer.
Once again, it's an honor to be here and to be able to share in this celebration for this day. And so let us have a word of prayer together. Oh God of us all, we thank you for the opportunity to come together today, one, to congratulate and welcome our new officer, Paul Whiting, into the department. Thank you for his dedication and commitment to this career and to this town. We give you thanks for the opportunity to say thank you to Norman as he has served his life serving the Falmouth Police Department, for the citizens that we will honor, and for those officers who have gone above and beyond their duties and will be acknowledged for their courage, their wisdom, and their sacrifice. We are blessed with the Falmouth Police Department and the men and women who take their jobs seriously and who put their lives on the line every day in order to protect ours. May they feel pride in their accomplishments, and may we, the community, continue to offer our support, our encouragement, and our gratitude for all they do, not just today, but every day. Amen.
Thank you. For those who are seated, if you could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. If I could have the town manager, Julian Suso, come up for some comments, please.
Thank you, Chief. Good morning, everyone. As Town Manager, it's a great privilege for me to join all of you and have the opportunity for a few brief remarks. First, I want to say welcome to our newest police officer, Paul Whiting, and his family. We look forward to working with you, and congratulations to our retiring police officer, Norman Adamson. Thank you for your many, many years of dedicated service. Much appreciated. I also want to congratulate those officers and individuals that we're so privileged to honor at this ceremony today. Also to take this opportunity to thank all Falmouth police officers and their families, many of whom are here today. I recognize the importance of consistent understanding and the support of family members, friends, and loved ones in the successful career of a police officer. It's an enormous commitment. I also thank our officers for your tireless dedication and service, for the many times you exhibit public service leadership in making the right choice and setting the proper example when placed in often difficult and challenging circumstances each and every day. Your commitment to the public safety of the Falmouth community is an inspiration to all of us. You touch the young people in our community in a profound and a positive way, which leaves an impression for a lifetime. For that, we thank you. And finally, Happy New Year to all, and most importantly, be safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Julian. Thank you. If I could have Sam Patterson come up, please, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen. Thanks, Sam.
Yeah, and I hope I represent the citizens of the town as well as my fellow selectmen in the comments I make. And really, they're to second Rebecca Mancelli's comments and Julian Suso's comments about the service that the police force provides to this community. We are fortunate to live in a community where we feel safe and secure, where we can confidently go about our everyday business and be successful and enjoy a quality of life that's really among the best in the country. And for that, I really do want to extend my thanks to the police force, who handle themselves so professionally, who, instead of escalating conflicts or trying to de-escalate and bring out a peaceful solution that is the least harmful to all those people that get involved in various domestic crises and what have you. So on behalf of my fellow citizens, thank you very much for the service that you do. I feel like I run into you occasionally here and there, fortunately not in conflict situations, and I can never master everybody's name. But a few times I've run into some people, in their role, if it's traffic management or detective work, and it's just a pleasure to have that interaction in a positive, constructive kind of way. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. As I said, this is a exciting day for the department as a whole, and I believe I know it's exciting for our newest officer. If I could have Officer Paul Whiting please just come up to the front here. Those of you that are familiar or may not be familiar, the Falmouth Police Department is a civil service department, and we hire off a civil service list. Often we've hired throughout the department, we've taken lateral transfers, and what a lateral transfer is an officer coming from another civil service department. Back in, I think it was in the springtime, Paul came in and I met him, and he'd seen on our website that we were looking for transfers. So he came in and we had a nice conversation about him latering from the town of Watertown. It was a little confusing, only because Paul wasn't currently working for the town of Watertown. He had been an officer there for 3 years, a little over 3 years, and he left the Watertown Police Department for personal matters, but on good terms. So with the conversations with Chief Lawn from Watertown, with Julian Suso, the town manager up there, and after much paperwork and some confusion on some people's parts, we were able to get Paul here as a lateral transfer. As I said, he worked in Watertown for a little over 3 years, and when he came here, what makes it nice on a lateral, he's a fully trained police officer. So he was living in the town of Falmouth, so he knew the town. So Paul went through a mini field training program with Officer Ryan Hurt to pretty much learn how we do things here at the Falmouth Police Department compared to how they did in Watertown. He then attended a 1-week in-service training, because when Paul was a police officer in Watertown, marijuana was illegal. It's now legal. So he had to learn, be updated on the laws, and he's done a great job. And as of January 17th, he has been reporting to the day shift and out patrolling this town. So at this time, I would like to have Town Clerk Michael Palmer come in and please swear Paul in as Falmouth Police Officer.
Well, if you can raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Paul Whiting, do solemnly swear and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially perform all duties incumbent upon me as a police officer for the town of Falmouth to the best of my ability and understanding. I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States of America, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, and the bylaws and charter of the town of Falmouth. So help me God. Congratulations.
And if I could have Heidi Whiting, Paul's wife, please come up, or family members come up and pin the badge on Paul. He said you were practicing. Congratulations, Paul. Thank you. Now we're going to move into our awards ceremony. You know, it's essential in the police department to recognize officers for the great work that they do each and every day. And we do have a program here at the police department that every month, as you came in the lobby, if you didn't see it, when you leave, over the top of the glass panel there, officers are recognized every month for work outstanding. And as I said earlier, every officer here does outstanding work. We could give them all awards every month. But, and those awards are put forward, the Officer of the Month, by their supervisors, the sergeants and lieutenants, and sometimes it's very difficult to decide who's going to get the Officer of the Month. So we have that program as well. But then for the officers who go above and beyond, that's what this is all about. And we have a committee here, and again, sergeants, lieutenants, or the captains may submit names for recognition above and beyond. And part of that is the committee is myself, Captain Jeff Smith. We have a lieutenant and/or a sergeant right now. We have Sergeant Brian Lowen, who sits on that panel. We also have a patrol officer, and that's James Rogers, who sits on that, and a civilian, which is my administrative assistant. So then we sit down and we go over and determine whether it's just a normal duty that the officer did and did a good job, and we'll give him a letter, or we raise it to a actual recognition. At this time, we would like to recognize a civilian, and if I could have Alexi Atwood please come up here, please. Good morning. This is a recognition for internship, outstanding performance. Alexi Atwood worked as an unpaid intern for the Falmouth Police Department in this past semester. Each day she reported to Captain Smith for her assignment of duties. Captain Smith is happy to report that she thrived in this role and has been a valuable addition to our staff. Normally, we find a difficult task for potential interns because of the confidentiality requirements here in the police department and many obstacles that would allow tasks that we could normally assign to them. In Alexi's case, we saw early in her that she was eager to get involved and take on projects designated to her for completion. She finished these initial assignments prior to their deadlines. Seeing her potential, we inquired on the feasibility of having Alexi certified in CJIS, which is the Criminal Justice Information System, and to obtain CORI, which is the Criminal Offender Record Information Clearance. We completed the necessary paperwork and testing to have Alexi certified. Due to her certification, she is now has a greater role as an internship here in the police department. She was assigned projects that were designed to move the Falmouth Police Department from paper copy record system to a digital record keeping department. In this role, Alexi is responsible for categorizing and scanning archived reports into their proper folders and creating a digital permanent record. This project is important as it will allow us to move into the 21st century with our record keeping, as well as creating additional physical space in our facility. Additionally, Alexi has been taking on additional projects, such as submitting inquiries to CJIS and to the Board of Probation to verify that our initial record keeping is in line with state records. She has also acted as an observer of some functions that are routinely completed by the police department, such as roll call briefing, arrest bookings, and providing customer service at the front desk of the station. She has also been allowed to ride-alongs with experienced officers and experience what a modern-day career in law enforcement demands. She has always seemed excited to be on patrol with the officers. Thank you, Alexi, for all your hard work and dedication. We sincerely appreciate it. For that, we give you this award for outstanding performance as an intern. And I'm also giving you a Falmouth Police Challenge coin, which is the Chief's Award.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. And you're also being recognized by the State Senate.
All right, thank you.
If I could have Officer Jamie Donahue please step forward. Good morning. Commitment to the community. School Resource Officer Jamie Donahue has worked with the Falmouth Police Department since January of 2005. During that time, she has excelled as a police officer. Officer Donahue has led the way for our department to reach out and become more involved with the community. She continues to learn and develop effective approaches that help improve our department's performance and work towards the goal to improve the quality of life in our community. Officer Donahue has focused this accomplishment through the following programs: the Stuffer Cruiser, which happens around the Christmas holiday; Hidden in Plain Sight, which was an event up at the high school; and during her role throughout the year as a school resource officer. These programs carry out the mission on a much broader level with the potential of greater reach and impact. Thank you, Officer Donahue, for all you do for this community and the police department. And we also have something from the Senate and the House.
Thank you very
Okay.
much. Thank you.
The next award is going to be for Exceptional Investigator Award. If I could have the following officers: Detective Christopher Bartolome. He is currently away at military school. Detective Ronald Carpenter, Detective Andrew Lowen, and Detective David Massey. Please step forward. Still doing the dad thing. It's okay. Exceptional Investigator Award. Over the past year, Detective Unit has closed several important investigations that, due to their significance, has undoubtedly improved the quality of life for Falmouth residents. These investigations include the arrest and prosecution of several narcotic dealers, the investigation and arrest of an individual operating an illegal massage parlor through the practice of human trafficking, and the removal of weapons from an individual that, in all possibility, intended on using these weapons to cause harm. These investigations are just a snapshot of the type of cases that these dedicated professionals do each and every day. They work tirelessly, oftentimes sacrificing time with their families to see the case through a conclusion. Each investigator brings their own individual strength, ability to the unit. Through teamwork, they approach the investigations with a shared determination and commitment. For these reasons, each member of the Detective Division is awarded this Exceptional Investigator Award. Thank you, all three of you. David, just got back from vacation. Hold on, just, with those come, pins. Andrew? David? And Ronald. Again, thank you, Paul. Brian? Also, we have citations from the House of Representatives and from the State Senate. That's it. Life-saving awards. Would Officer James Rogers and Sergeant Michael Rogers step forward, please? And for those of you that don't know, yes, they're brothers. We'll start with James first.
He is older.
That's right, too. No, yeah. On October 18th, 2017, Officer James Rogers was dispatched to report of an injury that occurred with a chainsaw. When he arrived, medical personnel were not yet present. He was confronted with a male who had severely cut his upper right thigh when the saw became entangled in his clothing. A worker from another landscape crew was tendering to the aid and applying direct pressure. Officer Rogers quickly and effectively applied a tourniquet and quick clot to the wound, stopping the bleeding. Sergeant Carl and Sergeant Lowen added more. The quick clot to stop the bleeding in the wound was wrapped around in gauze around the entire leg. The ambulance arrived and the person was transported and subsequently med-flighted to a Providence hospital. Officer Rogers' decisive action and skill undoubtedly saved the life of this person who was injured. Officer Rogers, thank you. With that, you get one of those. And you get something from the House of Representatives and the state. Don't go anywhere. We'll move into the second Rogers here. It was a busy year for him. On June 19th, 2017, Sergeant Michael Rogers was dispatched to check on the welfare of an individual in the water. When he arrived, medical personnel were not yet present. He was confronted with a male who was standing waist-deep in water. Sergeant Rogers called out several times and the subject didn't respond. Sergeant Rogers began to wade out and grab him from behind. He spoke with him to confirm his identity, and the subject stated that he was stuck and he had sunk down in the mud up to his knees. Sergeant Rogers attempted to pull him out, but the subject began screaming in pain due to the pressure on his knees. The subject couldn't stand and collapsed in Sergeant Rogers' arms. A bystander, who, by the way, it's John Scallop, and he's from Vermont. He was invited today, but he sends his regrets and couldn't make it, and he will also be recognized too. Came out to assist and began digging out the subject's feet. After several minutes of digging, they were able to free him. The quick response and action of Sergeant Rogers saved the life of this man that he never met. Sergeant Rogers, thank you very much. And again from the House and the Senate. And if I could have Chief Small come up. I think he wanted to say a few words.
Just real quickly, both of these awards were sort of initiated by us because they were medical calls, and there's a little bit of a backstory to both. Sergeant Rogers is here because the fire chief, who was driving home at the end of the day, looked over his shoulder and saw a guy in the water and thought, well, that's kind of funny, there's a guy in the water back there, and kept driving home. And about 2 minutes down the road with a tone drop for a guy in the water, I thought, wow, if the roles had been reversed, it would have been me fetching instead of Sergeant Rogers. So I'm very thankful that he was there before I was. Legitimately saved that gentleman's life, though. Hypothermic, even though it was June, was a very, very challenging call. He legitimately saved that man's life. Patrolman Rogers, without question, this was based off a letter that I sent. When he arrived at the scene of the chainsaw accident, that gentleman was literally on the verge of death from hypovolemic shock. If he had not arrived and did what he did, the fire department crew did not arrive too much later, but in that short amount of time, that gentleman most certainly would not have survived. So his actions clearly saved that man's life. They're both very professional operations and clearly saved the life on those both calls. Thank you.
Great job.
Great job. Yes.
Do it all for our mother.
Yeah. Two police officers who came from a fire family. Go figure, huh? Yeah. If I could have Detective Andrew Lowen come back up here, please. Hello again. You know what this is about? No. We've kind of kept this a secret. As I said in the beginning, we in the department like to recognize our officers for all the great things that they do. We do the Officer of the Month, but we also do Officer of the Year. And Andrew has been selected as the 2017 Officer of the Year. And let me... That's a pretty good secret, huh? Detective Andrew is a 12-year veteran of the department. Andy is responsible for investigating, among other crimes, a vast majority of sex crimes that get reported to the police department. These types of cases are extremely complex and can be challenging even to the most hardened investigator. Andy handles these cases with professionalism and compassion. He works side by side with families and has a unique way of presenting himself in a way that makes the victims comfortable and assured. These cases often involve child pornography, which require him to sort through countless disturbing images with the goal of building a case that leads to the successful prosecution. Having someone with this demeanor and ability to handle these cases is invaluable to the Falmouth Police Department. Recently, Andy investigated a local business that was misrepresenting themselves as a wellness spa. Andy collaborated with other local agencies, state police, and the FBI to build a case through several jurisdictions on the perpetrator. The business owner was arrested and faces several charges, including human trafficking and deriving support from prostitution. We commend Andy for these tireless work in this area. We understand these types of cases are strenuous and difficult. He accepts this role without complaint, works hard to be the voice for many victims that often feel they have none. For this reason, we are pleased to announce that Andy Lowen is the Falmouth Police Department 2017 Officer of the Year. If I could have retired Officer Norman Adamson please step forward. Good morning. Officer Adamson began his career as a provisional officer back in 1981 and was appointed permanent patrolman with the Falmouth Police Department on May 5th, 1986. Over the years, Officer Adamson assisted the Provincetown Police Department with the Pam Mass Challenge, selected to participate in top grant programs of enforcing specific motor vehicle laws. He was a motorcycle officer. He was a member of the ATV Patrol, the Bike Patrol, performed his duties for the abandoned motor vehicles. With over 31 years of service, Norman officially retired on December 10th, 2017. Norman, you will be truly missed by the men and women of the Falmouth Police Department and this community. Thanks again for all your years of service, and we wish you well. again, you have citations from the House and the Senate. Okay?
Thank you.
If I could have our police chaplain please come up for the closing prayer.
Let us pray. Lord, thank you for the celebration of this morning. In a job in which there is danger, stress, crisis, and uncertainty, we are thankful for these times when our officers can feel appreciated in the company of one another and the community they serve. May they feel a renewed sense of enthusiasm for their vocation as they go forth this day. Be with their families also, Lord, as they too share in the sacrifice this job entails. And now, O God, who wants peace and justice for all across this land, may your strength, fearlessness, wisdom, and protection be with the women and men of our police department. And may we all be inspired to work together for the common good of our Falmouth community. Amen.
Again, I want to thank everybody for coming today. It does mean a lot. I know it means a lot to the officers and to have their family and friends here and the dignitaries. And I see that Peter Johnson-Stobbs came in. Appreciate having you here, Peter. Thank you. And I want to thank FCTV too for coming and filming this, because it's something that can be shared with the whole community. This is going to conclude our ceremony, and we ask you all to please stay, speak with the officers, have some pastries and some coffee. Thank you.